Hey everyone, today we are going to cover how to test Facebook ads, as testing Facebook ads can either make you a lot of money or can waste a lot of money for you and your business. And choosing the right testing strategy is absolutely crucial for any e-com brand. Today we are going to cover the three main testing frameworks that 7 and 8 figure brands use, and I'm going to tell which one is my favorite, what are my thoughts about each one of them, and which one you should use in 2025. And before we start, my name is Miro, and I've been running ads for 7 to 8 figure brands for 7 years now. And here on the screen, you can see some of the results that we are getting for our clients. With that being said, let's jump into the video. So we're going to cover the three main testing methods, these being ABO testing, CBO testing, and 4-2-2 flexible ads, which became more popular over the past few months, maybe a year. And firstly, what we have to discuss is what always remains the same between these three testing methods. And probably you've heard in 2025, in 2024, that the creative is the new targeting, and it is absolutely true. So essentially this means that you don't really have to do any interest targeting, any lookalike audience, and so on. All we have to do is to target broad audience. In 99.9%, in my experience, this has been outperforming any lookalike or any interest targeting. And this is the default targeting that you should be using when you're testing new ads. And if you're wondering how you target the different audiences, well, it is all based on the creatives. So for example, if you're running ads for women who want to lose weight, simply by having the right message and having the right creative, Facebook algorithm is really good at finding you the right people. So it will distribute your ads to the right people. However, if you want to target women who want to lose weight, and you have something completely unrelated in your ads and in your landing page, that will give Facebook AI really hard time to finding you the right people, and then you'll have problems and you wouldn't be able to test properly and scale. So with that being said, as you can see on the screen, we have ABO. ABO essentially means that the budget is on ad set level, and then we have our broad ad sets with 2 to 4 times the target CPA as starting budget. A few more purifications to add here. We want to have up to 5 creatives per ad set. I usually like to keep it 4, but is it 3, is it 4, is it 5? It doesn't really matter, as probably when you start testing like this, usually 1 or 2 ads will spend the most of the ad spend. And the reason this happens is because Facebook knows pretty good which ads will perform the best. So that's why it is pushing the budget behind them. Now, why we are starting with 2 to 4 times the target CPA as daily budget? The reason we start this is because firstly, we don't want to overspend, but we still want to give Facebook enough room to test our ads. And when you use this testing methods, what you want to do is you want to test the ad set by spending 2 to 4 times the target CPA before you make a conclusion. Why we want to do this? Because otherwise we wouldn't have enough impressions and enough clicks to have tested this ad. Facebook is recommending, okay, you have to run your ads for 7 days or whatever. This is not true. In 99% of the cases, by spending 2 to 4 times the target CPA, you can know and you can understand if something is going to work or if it's not going to work. And if you choose to spend more, you're most likely wasting money for testing without need. And if you spend less, probably you're prematurely pausing ads that haven't had a chance to learn at all. And when you should use these testing methods, you should use this testing method when you want to isolate your testing better. For example, when you're running like a CBO testing or 4-2-2 testing, you are not really getting enough ad spend on certain ads that you want to test, and you have to make all type of changes to get the spend here. No matter what you do, Facebook will spend your budget every day, and you're able to get valuable data. You'll be able to see what is your click-through rate, what CPMs you're getting, what type of purchases and conversion rates you're getting with this type of audiences. There is a few cons, of course. And one of the cons is that winning creatives at low budgets often don't scale at high budget. And for example, let's say you get like you start like running ads, and this one that's it, get like sales, and it has like 4x ROAS, and you're thinking, okay, great, I will get this ad and start scaling it. I will either start increasing the budget directly here, or maybe you take it and put it in a scaling campaign. And what will happen is that very often, once you start increasing the budget, the ROAS here will start going down. It will get 3. Maybe you're thinking, okay, it's still good, I'll keep scaling. Then to get 2, 1, and at one point you'll be losing money. And this happens because some winning ads in the testing, when you test with this particular testing method, don't necessarily mean will be winners at higher budgets. And this happens quite often. For example, we have like here $50 daily budget. It was great at 200-300. It doesn't work so great, and even less at higher. So that's one of the cons. When winners from ABO testing don't spend when they're moved to CBO scaling campaign, that also happens sometimes. And the low budget algorithm optimization may only find low hanging fruit. And what you need to know about this is that when you're usually making new ads and you start like running these new ads, the goal of Facebook is to give you the cheapest purchases possible. And they get you the cheapest purchases possible at the very beginning. And once you take this low hanging fruits, you'll be left with clients that take more spend to convert. So you wouldn't be able to scale with the CPA that you're given at the beginning. And this is great for brands with medium budgets where you want controlled testing costs. And just want to clarify, I'm still using this one widely. It's one of my personal favorite testing methods. And if done correctly, and if you're monitoring your ads on a daily basis, so you pause what doesn't work and you relaunch new ads, it works great. And one more thing I want to add, when you're testing new ads, here, these are all different concepts. These are all different type of ads. And for example, even if it's one concept, I will still split it in 2 ad sets. For example, if I have like 10 or 12 ads from the same angle, just like slight variations, I will still split them in 3 ad sets. With that being said, let's move to the CBO testing. And this is my second favorite. And the reason this is my second favorite, it is because I rely heavily on Facebook algorithm, and Facebook algorithm has been performing really, really good over the past 2 years, scaling the best ads and not giving spend to the ads that are underperforming. Very similar to the CBO. We want to have a daily budget of 4 times your target CPA. This is just for the start. So for example, if you want to have a target CPA at 50, you want to put this at about 200 daily ad spend. And Facebook will distribute this budget across these different ad sets. Very similar to the ABO. Again, you have 4 ads per ad set. However, when you run CBO, what we have noticed is that usually one of the ad sets you'll get like the most of the spend. The second one may get like probably like something like 20% of that, and then the rest of that set have like very minimum ad spend. And the reason this happens is very similar to what we discussed a bit earlier. It happens because Facebook is really good at picking the right people. And if they don't believe that something will pick up and get good sales, they will not distribute any ad spend to it. And one of the main problems when you're running this type of testing is that when you start adding more and more testing ad sets here, right under, many of them will not get any ad spend. That is an issue if you want to test a lot of ads. If you're making like new ads every day, you don't really test them because they stay with like $5-10 ad spend a day, and you urgently need new winners. So that's why in these cases sometimes we use like ABO. Or the other options, you can give it a minimum ad spend, and this minimum ad spend will be something low, like $10-20. The decision we want to do is we want to pause or scale based on once we reach around 2 to 4 times target CPA. So for example, if this one ad set is underperforming and it has spent 4 times the target CPA, I will pause the whole ad set. But now let's look at the pros and the cons of this. So this is like very fast way to scale. When you find a winner, it already gets like the most of that spend. You don't really have to do anything, and there is a cost protection. So Facebook doesn't waste money on creatives. It knows to on scale, and I've noticed this for quite some time now. Next up is cost protection. Facebook doesn't waste money on creatives. It won't scale. This is something I've been noticing for quite some time now, but when an ad doesn't get enough ad spend, forcing Facebook to spend more money on it doesn't usually give you good results. And it doesn't matter if it's ABO or CBO or whatever campaign you use. Forcing Facebook to spend money on ads typically never ends good. And that's because Facebook, when you use CBO, Facebook knows this ad is not going to be a winner. They have tested with a small sample. They see that this ad won't perform, so that's why they don't spend money behind it. So that's why it's great if you want to be more cost efficient. Next up is simplicity. It's like much easier to manage than anything else because Facebook will spend your budget on its own. You don't have to do any type of tactics and stuff. You just like make new ads, you add them into this one campaign, and Facebook will spend money behind them when they see fit. And lastly, efficiency just saves thousands of losing tests that never get spent. As we said, no guarantee that ad set will receive spent, so that's why we push them in the minimum ad spend, at least so we can test them. And it could be a bit frustrating when creatives don't get tested. And lastly, we're less control over the spend allocation. And why I'm saying this, for example, when you're running this type of campaign, you add here all type of different ad concepts that are for different market awareness. For example, you see that your bottom of the funnel ads get like huge amount of that spent, but these are people that you cannot really scale with in the long. If you want to scale, you need to focus and spend more on top of the funnel ads and new customers, but the CBO chooses simply because the purchases most from the bottom of the funnel to spend the budget there. And long term, this will be bad for your business. So this is one of the cons when it comes to this type of setup. And if you want to scale and to find more new customers, it will be a bit difficult when you run everything in one CBO. And the next step is the flexible 4-2-2 testing, and this stands for creatives. This is for headlines, and this is for ad copies. Very similar to the CBO. The only difference is that instead of having here 4 different ads per ad set, we have one flexible ad where we have just dynamic variations of this ad, dynamic elements that Facebook rotates and finds the best combination. And many people like to use this method, but personally I don't like it very, very much. And the reason I don't like it is because if you want to make a breakdown, we can of course see which element is performing the best. But if you're using anything like TripleWell or third-party tool for tracking, this data won't be transferred there. And you probably noticed that when you use like Facebook Ads Manager, you have discrepancy between Facebook Ads Manager and TripleWell or any third-party tracking tool that you might be using. This doesn't give us like a very clear picture if what is working when it comes to the element in that ad. You can see, okay, this ad is having like in TripleWell like 3 rows and it's doing good or so and so on. But when you make the breakdown on Facebook, you see one thing, and on TripleWell you can't really make breakdown. So that's something I don't like. And also with this one, you cannot really make post IDs. And post IDs is essentially reusing the same post from one campaign to another to keep the engagement. And it's very, very helpful when you're looking to scale and you want to keep your engagement. So you have like lower cost per clicks and lower CPMs. Now, here are a few other questions that you might have and you want to cover now. So first, what structure to use? And the answer is whichever works for you. There isn't like a really an accurate answer. All of this can work on any budget, honestly. As I said, I like ABO and CBO. You may like 4-2-2. But you have to see which one works for you and which one is getting you good results in your ad account. If you use one, can you move to another one? And The answer is absolutely yes, but it will take some time. And usually when I'm transferring from one structure to another, I run them both simultaneously for some time to see which one is giving better results and is more stable over time. That's why it can take some time. And which one to start with? Honestly, you can start with any, but CBO is the one that leverages the Facebook AI the most, and what most 7 and 8 figure brands use nowadays. And it's like very, very easy to use and very, very efficient. And if you tried all of them, but none of them works for you, what you should do, and that's probably like an offer, ad, or a product problem. It's not really the testing system or the testing framework that you use. Usually this can give you efficiency, maybe 10-15%, but it will not fix your ads and it will not fix your website and product. So you should look for that problem. You should resolve this problem with something else. How much should be the budget for testing? So if you're starting now, essentially all your budget is testing budget. However, if you have been running campaigns, you want to test with around 15 to 20% of your total budget and set the daily spend to about 2 to 4 times your target CPA. Now, if you're using this method and you're scaling these ads, your budget overall will be much, much higher. So you can start with 4 times the target CPA, but over time, you can grow this campaign to a few $1,000s daily. And you can just like keep adding the new ad sets with the new concepts and the new ads in here. And Facebook will distribute budget. However, sometimes what might happen is this can ruin your performance, but it's not like something that happens very, very often. But when you add this, it's good just like to keep an eye on them. How is the Facebook going throughout the day? And if you see like that Facebook decides just to hugely shift the budget to a new testing ad, and this new ad is not getting you the performance that you want, you should like pause it fast. And here's the last question: what if my new creatives never get spent in the CBO campaign? And this is because, as we said, Facebook won't give spend to ads that will underperform. And that's the algorithm saving you money. However, sometimes you might want to spend just a bit behind these ads because you put like hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in production for new ads, and you might want to see what is the performance of these ads, not just to put them in Facebook to say, no, I'm not putting any money behind them. With that being said, we covered the 3 main frameworks. Now, depending on which one you decide to go with and which one you use, then that will also determine which one of the scaling framework you're going to use in the future, but that will be for the next video. If you have like any questions, put them below this video. I will make sure to answer, and thank you for watching.